Hello, how are you today? We are on episode 48 of On the 250 River with Dr. Dan. I'm Dr. Dan Miller, looking at the top five from 250 years ago this week, ending October 23rd, 1775. Remember, that's the week ending in that date. So we're going to be taking a look at the top five things that just kind of strike me as important. Big stories, small stories, in between stories from 250 years ago, the week ending October 23rd, trying to get you to have a deeper and richer sense of real people, real life, and real moments 250 years ago as we head toward the American founding's 250th next year in 2026. So we'd like to thank the sponsor of episode 48, and in fact, it's kind of a dedication, a dedicatory. Can we do that? A type of sponsorship today for 48, and that is we're doing a little bit of a shout out, asking for thoughts and prayers for Reverend Jacob Duché of Philadelphia. He's I think an Episcopal minister there, and he's been given the assignment. He's taken it willingly. He's been given the assignment of writing and delivering the eulogy of a particular person who's died just a few days ago, unexpectedly, I would say. So our thoughts and prayers go out to him as he prepares his remarks that will be listened to quite closely by the members of the Second Continental Congress as well as colonists elsewhere. So let's start with our top five. Good luck, Reverend Duché. Top five. We'll start with number five going out here, and we're going to pick up who this person is who died. He is Peyton Randolph. I almost said Peyton Manning. He's Peyton Randolph from the colony of Virginia. And again, unexpected death. And here's what John Adams said, and we're going to leave it at this for number five. John Adams said this. He'd met Randolph, knew him to the extent that they had worked together some in the Continental Congress. They weren't close by any means, but he knew him as a working acquaintance kind of thing. And here's how he refers to Peyton Randolph upon hearing of his death. He's one of the first American characters, as he is the first president of the United Colonies. We repeat that. He's one of the first American characters, as he is the first president of the United Colonies. He was chosen president of the First Continental Congress last year, 13 months ago, in Philadelphia in September of 1774. He was the first president of the Continental Congress. And in that reality, John Adams is saying he's one of the first American characters, and he should be acknowledged and remembered and honored as such. Leadership point out of here. Boy, we oftentimes forget people, don't we? In the melee of things, in the flying dust and loud noises of things, we can easily forget who came first, who was doing this first. Well, first president of the United Colonies, we'll tip our hat to Peyton Randolph as number five on our list. Let's go to number four, and we're going to go to John Adams's distant cousin, Samuel Adams. He's writing a letter to a person, and the focal point of Samuel Adams's letter 250 years ago is his high hopes, super duper high hopes, for what he hopes he's going to hear any day now of the magnificent success of the two colonial military expeditions that are moving toward Canada to secure that region as the 14th colony in protest and resistance of British imperial policy. We've got two forces moving that direction, one led by Richard Montgomery, the other by Benedict Arnold. And Adams says, guys, everything hinges. Samuel Adams says everything hinges on the success here. But here's the thing. He's got a line. We just read a line from John Adams. We'll do one from Samuel too. Here's his line that he includes. Mortals cannot command success. For all of his high hopes that he expresses with great feeling in this letter, he kind of lets a little bit of the air out of the balloon and says, but mortals cannot command success. My leadership question for you coming out of number four here is what can mortals do from the perspective of a leader? What can one's followers, mortals, do? Well, they can try, try, try. They can't command it, but they can give everything they can in trying to secure success. It reminds me of Winston Churchill when he said, so somebody asked him, what's the key to success, and he said, never, never, ever, 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 ever give up. And that feels a little bit like this: try, try, try. Mortals can try, try, try. So that's number 4, a combination of Samuel Adams and Winston Churchill, quite a few generations later. Number 3 of our top 5. We've got 2 things happening at the same time. 2 big, kind of behind the scenes, under the radar type of meetings that are all about one thing, and they're about power. The definition, the distribution, the assignment of power here, there, different places. There's 2 places this is happening 250 years ago in the week ending October 23rd. One place is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in George Washington's headquarters, outside of the encircled and surrounded Boston. Washington is meeting with a delegation from the Continental Congress, along with representatives or delegations from nearby New England colonial governments, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and so on, and they're hashing out the power distribution and the relationship in power between the Continental Congress on one side, the Continental Army over here, and then individual colonies over here in a third kind of place too. So they're hashing that out on the top vertical kind of level. Or I'm sorry, the top horizon, the top floor, if you will. There you go. The top floor of the structure that they're trying to kind of shakily put up with this new Continental Union. So they're talking about the top floor. And how do we share from one to one to one to one across that top floor? And remember this, that everybody knows that standing armies have been nothing but trouble in the history of England and in the history of several European countries and so on. Standing armies are a bad thing. So that's an attitude that's part of this discussion in Cambridge about power sharing across this top floor of the Continental Union. At the same time, down in Johnston County, North Carolina, there's a provincial assembly of North Carolinians, delegates who were chosen. They're doing a similar kind of thing, but at the grassroots, the local level. They're distributing power, defining power, allocating power amongst themselves on a variety of issues. And so while we have work going on at the top floor, we've got work going on arguably on the foundation maybe, but maybe we should be thinking of this as kind of a vertical. This is how do we get a pillar in place that's solid, that can help hold up that top floor. North Carolina is one of the pillars, and maybe we should just think of each colony as being a pillar. Well, they're working on their pillar. The one thing I'll say, and we'll move on, is I sense states' rights here. These are very early communications about what will ultimately become states' rights. Just like up in Cambridge, we're talking about something more national or federal, I'll say, but something on a higher plane. In the Cambridge conversations in Johnston County, North Carolina, we're talking early states' rights in their particular pillar to hold up that top floor. So that's number 3. And number 2, hey man, we're going to go way out here. Let me make sure I've got this right. Manuela Penuelas. She's a woman, she's pregnant, and she's one of 300 people that starts today on a northwestern track from the Santa Cruz River Valley, a hike, an expedition, a settlement movement of these 300 people from the Santa Cruz River Valley up to what will be San Francisco. They're going to colonize and settle it. And she's there, and in this first day out on the trail, she gives birth and she dies. Her baby lives. I'm pointing this out, and I think we should do it in honor of her and her now orphaned child, and tell ourselves that there are all kinds of 250s. There's a 250 that's forming out in the San Francisco area as well. And so down the road, a leadership point here, down the road, this will converge. And you never know what kind of anniversary is happening somewhere else that down the road will converge with some of the anniversaries you celebrate to make a whole new thing. And it's just something I think we ought to recognize today from 250 years ago out on the trek to San Francisco. Number one today, number one on our top five, Falmouth, Massachusetts. It was then. Falmouth, Maine, it is now, just outside of Portland, the current Portland. Falmouth burned 250 years ago. A four-ship British naval squadron set out with the idea of doing exactly what happens, which is they want to destroy the community of Falmouth. And that's what they do as a show of force. 3 out of every 4 buildings are burned. People are homeless. People are without possessions. There's dead animals. There's burned out, bombed out, everything out, kind of destruction in Falmouth 250 years ago right now. And people are just kind of wandering around trying to pick up what they can before that Massachusetts, that New England, that northern New England winter sets in, which is coming very quickly towards them at this point in time. The leadership point here, it seems to me, is one thing can have a lot of different varieties to it if you think about it, right? We've had Concord and Lexington with Paul Revere and all of that, the Minutemen back in April of 75, April of 250 years ago. We've had Bunker Hill, Breeds Hill, and Charlestown in June 250 years ago, major pitched battle. And now we have the destruction of an entire community in Falmouth. All of it conflict, all of it war, but yet different varieties. And a leadership question, it feels to me, is there a temptation to emphasize one variety of a thing over another variety of a thing? That's one thing they'll have to sort out very, very quickly 250 years ago right now. So what is the big idea today, Dan? And I'll get out of your way after we wrap up. The big idea of the day, I'll go back to Peyton Randolph. And remember, I had you hear from John Adams about Randolph was one of the first American characters because he was the first president of the United Colonies. I'm going to ask you to go with me here and let's make up a word together. It's not president. It's president. It's president. The role that Randolph was chosen to do in 13 months ago was to preside over the Continental Congress itself. They may have called him the president, but the key here is to drop the NT. And what are my duties? Your duties are to preside over this group. You don't make the rules. You don't make all the decisions. You don't make many of the decisions, if any. You're the presiding official. You're just kind of in the big chair. All of the work and all of the power is out here amongst the delegates, amongst the chairs and the desks. And we need to think of that. The genesis of the executive branch of the United States as we know it, the President of the United States, really starts with the word president, with Peyton Randolph from 1774. President, I think, is an interesting way to think of the executive capacity in this union phase before there's a nation. I'm Dr. Dan Miller, and boy, it sure was good to hang out with you today. Thanks for watching. I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye.